Hello and welcome to the PDA Society's podcast. We're here to chat about all things PDA to help you understand what people with this profile of autism are experiencing and how you can help. We'll be sharing research, professional expertise and the insights of people with lived experience to help you understand PDA and have more tools to make life easier. So, whether you're a PDA yourself, a family member, friend or professional trying to make a difference, welcome from everybody at the PDA Society. We hope you'll find this useful.
Hello, I'm Ed. I'm the CEO of the PDA Society, and today I'm going to be talking with H about what being a PDAer is like and their experience of kind of support that's actually helpful. Hi H, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm H Arlo-Harris. My pronouns are they, them. For anybody that needs audio description, I am a mixed race person with medium length curly black hair. I'm wearing a black shirt and a silver chain, and I'm sitting in an office chair. I am a teacher. I've been an autism and particularly autism and PDA teacher for about 10 years. And I'm also a PDA myself.
Lovely stuff. Good point on the old visual description. I'm wearing a pair of oversized green glasses and a purple top, and I've got kind of very scruffy brown hair, and you can see a really cool painting next to me that my son painted. Cool. Right. My first question is this one. How did you find out that you were a PDA? Like, when did you know? And can you tell us a bit about how PDA just feels to you on a daily basis?
It actually sounds like we've teed this up to be a plug for the PDA Society, but I genuinely don't mean it to be. But I found out about PDA from the PDA Society website. I think it was the booklet, What is PDA, that I looked on. I think for me, I'd never felt autistic enough. Like, I never felt like I properly fitted the autistic criteria. As although I had a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, I never felt like it really summed it up. And I was struggling to find any material or information that really accurately reflected my experiences of autism. And I don't really know how I ended up on the PDA Society website, if I'm honest. I mean, I imagine I'd heard a discussion around it, and I was probably looking in. I think at the time I was really struggling with anxiety. And I think that probably just led me to Googling something around autism and anxiety that brought me onto the PDA Society website. And I remember reading this, there's like a word cloud on it. I don't know if you've updated it. I probably should have looked before I spoke about it. But there used to be a word cloud that was like the positive aspects of PDA.
Yeah.
And it was like tenacity and loyalty and things. And I looked
Yeah,
at
a really strong sense of justice.
yes, yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is me. Because I never felt like I had that, like, oh my gosh, that is me in relation to ASD. I mean, I was younger, I was sort of like my late teens. And obviously you're presented with lots of stuff. And I was just like, yeah, but like that's not all the way it. And I remember reading it and then being like, yeah, this is me. This is definitely where that was the first thing that I think I really read that really aligned with my experience of being autistic. I can't remember.
Because you'd known that you were autistic from being a teenager?
Yeah. And I think I would have been maybe 20, maybe 24, 25, like when I sort of came across that and then, you know, had the conversation then with consultant at the time, and they were like, yeah, because it was, you know, knowledge ever changing.
Yeah.
You know, and I think this is still true to today. The experience that you get is only as far as the consultant that treats you. With not having a diagnostic criteria,
Yeah.
it's not a widespread thing. So if the consultant that is working with you at the time knows about PDA and understands about PDA and is always open-minded, then you get that they can impart that knowledge on you. But if they don't have it, then it for you it doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's really helpful actually, because people listening to this podcast, some of them will be PDAs themselves and they'll be like, yeah, I really get what this is. And others might be people coming to PDA for the first time.
Yeah.
So from your perspective as a PDA, could you explain what PDA is to you and kind of how it impacts upon you, like everyday kind of ways?
So I think for me, like the way I visualize my PDA is that it is autism. It's being autistic, and it is like they are the same. I think that's for me. Like everybody sees themselves in different way. Like I almost like I have that flavor that is PDA. Do you know what I mean? I think for me, it's about. I think balance is probably the word that comes to mind often. I was chatting with somebody the other day and I said it's like rigid flexibility. So that the idea of having like a routine that runs every day from 9 till 5 and you do this followed by this followed by this, and might be able to do it for one day, maybe two, and then at that point I just will want to throw things at the wall. Like it has to be, it has to functionally serve the purpose in that moment, but as soon as there is a lack of flexibility in things, that makes it difficult. I would say, you know, it's sort of categorized by resistant. Sounds like a very loaded term, really. But I would say, to give it a visual, almost like if you were to play whack-a-mole, and the demands are moles, sometimes I like dragons rather than moles. Like fire,
What, really aggressive?
really aggressive fire-breathing dragons that like come all the way out of the thing, rather than these like cute little humps that you've got to knock down to get through the game. It's more like it feels like a fire-breathing dragon, even if perceptually it is a mole.
Yeah.
And I think it's, for me, it very much is about like balancing how much and pairing, and I think the biggest thing I can say, it's about always finding the balance between how much is too much, and it's a constant, I would say, almost like a constant discovery process, because no two things are the same. So somebody might look and be like, well, we did something similar to that the other week, but it's not the same. Or I didn't feel the same. And those demands can come both externally and internally. But I suppose fundamentally it's characterized by how demands feel perceived and cause the body to respond.
Yeah. So if I'm just, because what we know is that some people, when I kind of say I work for PDA Society, will say something along the lines of, oh, just people who don't like being told what to do. Nobody likes being told what to do. And I'm like, no, that's not quite it.
Ironically, I am really good at being told what to do when I permit it.
Yeah.
When I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, tell me what to do.
Yeah.
But if you're like, if it's so much more than that. You know, it's the internal demand. I would say internal demands for me are extremely more difficult than any external demand anybody could put on me. Now, as an adult,
Mm.
like, I don't have many external demands.
No, it's very true.
As an adult, I get to control the majority of the time what I do, where I go, how I do it, what I eat, when I do it. As a child or young person, they caused me a lot of issues because it was constant.
So what's an internal demand?
Being on time.
You were on time today.
I know, which is somewhat external as well, because the clock puts the demand on you.
Yeah.
Eating, drinking, cleaning your house, starting a task, finishing the task, showering, doing the food shopping. And I think that the thing is, it's that the pain of the past doesn't outweigh the action. It doesn't necessarily stimulate an action, because people were like, well, if you had no food and you didn't have anything for breakfast, then you wouldn't let yourself be in that position again. But that's coming from a logical position.
Yes.
When it's around demand avoidance, it's about, like, for me, I always look at it in terms of the micro demands. So before I can go shopping, I've got to write a list. Before I can write the list, I've got to finish what I'm doing and go into the kitchen and look at what I've got. And then and one of the biggest things I hate about food shopping, I'm just going on a bit of a tangent here, is when you've got some of the stuff, but not all of the stuff. Because then I've got to work out what else I need to add to something. I find it much easier when there's nothing in the cupboards, nothing in the fridge, and I've just got to go buy it all, because I haven't got this additional step to work out what have you already got in. And it isn't, and I think when people say that whole, like, oh, it's people that don't like to do what they're told. No one's told me. Like, no one's told me. And the only reason that we're talking about it is because we're talking about it because we know and we understand it. Because the other thing is like, well, just get on with it then. Just do it. And it's like, I'm not telling you this for your approval. I'm telling you because you asked.
Yeah.
And and then there's that connotation that, oh, you're just lazy. It's just laziness.
But it's not just laziness, is it? Because you feel it in your body. That's something you said earlier.
Yeah, 100%.
I wonder if, because as you know, I'm neurodivergent, but I'm not a PDAer. So I don't feel demands in my body in the way that you do. Do you reckon you could describe it for me?
Like a heaviness. Like such a deep, like when you're really tired.
Yeah.
And you're like, I actually don't think I could get up off the sofa. It's like that, except not necessarily linked to tiredness. It's like this deep resistance.
Like you've turned to concrete, or you've completely frozen. Yeah.
Like literally, like the weight of it is so heavy.
Yeah. I mean, lots of kids, something that, like, I've heard from so many parents is kids saying, my legs don't work. And 100% meaning my legs don't work. Like, they won't do this thing for me. And yet, I guess from an external perspective, you're like, well, you walked over to that sofa.
Yeah.
And in a minute, you're going to wander over and get that thing over there that you need. Yeah. You just don't have you just can't do this thing.
Yeah, like brakes, like almost like the brakes. And I think that's another quite good analogy, is that, like, the brakes. And I think I feel that most when it's like, I feel the brakes more when it's external, especially if I'm already going to do it. It's just like, no, stop telling me what to do because I'm already going to do it. Stop.
You're like, making it harder.
Yeah. But definitely when it's like, I've got to go and do that thing, it's very like that, getting over that hump to which is that first demand. It's the first demand I always found the hardest demand. Not always, not necessarily, but for me, especially when it's chained, when it's something that's got multiple steps, that first bit, getting that laptop out for the first time, getting the Hoover out, getting up and getting the Hoover out is the hardest part of that chain for me.
Yeah, it's really useful. So one of the things I get asked all the time by parents and by teenagers is about happy and successful adult PDA lives.
Mm-hmm.
When I think about them, and when I think about people who I think to an extent are like, oh yeah, they've kind of got it sorted, they've worked out a system that works for them, I often think of you because you're someone who, you're just such a good communicator. And so whenever we talk, I'm like, oh yeah, I've really got that thing and this thing. But it's not easy, is it?
No.
like you're thriving in a way, like in a way that works for you. And I just wondered, what have you put in place for yourself? Like, what is it that kind of puts you in a place where you can be happy, enjoy your life?
Yeah, shamelessly, my house is my own. I live on my own. I have my dog. I have a partner, and we spend time at their house. Very, very occasionally, we'll spend time at my house. Normally, only if it works for something on a logistical, geographical basis. But my house is the PDA palace. Like, it's just me. It's just my space with my things in it. And I shut the door, and it's my safety. Like, it's mine.
Yeah.
That makes a massive difference, having that like base to work off. And I know that nothing comes in and alters that. Yes, the house itself creates, things, but that's no different to any other space. But I know I am the best version of myself when I have a complete private space that is not shared, that I don't have to do any sort of compromising or anything with. It's entirely mine. And I think that makes it's really important for my regulation. It's really important for because with that regulation enables me to be a better communicator. I need a lot of time and space and regulation place to be able to communicate in the ways that I can communicate as much as I'd like to. So I would say that is the biggest thing. And I suppose within having a home is the freedom and the choice. And I know that makes a lot of carers of PDAs quite anxious, because it's like, but what choice will they choose? But for me, without that, I wouldn't have ever been able to be in the position that I'm in now. I think I would say now it's much easier because it's quite autonomic. To begin with, it was a lot of work, and I needed to be able to direct people and tell them what I needed them to do for me, rather than for them to decide what they needed to do for me. For me, I really struggle with interoception. So like I can get a feeling, and I had to work to get this, but I can sort of get a feeling that something doesn't feel right, or, it's not a very nice feeling, or it's a good feeling, but I can't explain what that is. I can't label that. Maybe at all, but definitely not straight away. It can take me quite a while, like days, sometimes longer to be able to label feelings. So something that, but when I very first started, I remember saying to people around me, like, if you're getting a vibe, I need you to tell me what it is you're seeing, and then I will check in and realign those feelings, like, and be like, oh, actually, no, I I'm feeling like this, or actually, I'm actually really hungry. And
is it that extreme? So you're like, I'm feeling something, and at the moment I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing or a physical need.
Yeah, literally, yeah. It's just like something has come into the HQ, and I don't quite, and it takes a while for it to filter. I think positive things are a little bit easier to discriminate, but it's to discriminate between a physical need and a negative emotion is quite difficult.
Yeah.
And it can take much longer. But that made a massive difference for me to be able to recognize and sort and filter my own emotions more so I could know how to respond to myself. You know, I see a lot of things, and I know we're going to talk later about my professional work. I see a lot of EHC plans and things, or IEPs or whatever we're using, that says like X child must be able to communicate 3 feelings to an adult. And I know I sound really condescending, but my follow-up question is always why? Like, do we actually want that? Like, what are we actually looking for? Like, is that so that they can ask for help? Or is that, because like, do they actually, is it about dealing with their own feelings and knowing what that feeling means and actually what they need to do for themselves and then doing it?
Yeah.
But with this generic target just gets written because it's like, oh, they find that difficult, so I'll write this target. And I'm like, that's fine. What are we actually trying to achieve though?
Yeah.
That, because so we can say it. So now what? Because if we can't accept the help from the adult because that's a demand, actually for this young person, is it actually about facilitating so that they can
am I feeling fear, or am I feeling excitement, and how does that help me make the next decision?
Yeah.
Not telling someone who can then tell me what to do with that, which is just gonna make things so much harder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that for me was really important. And the irony being is, for me, it didn't come from me learning it to communicate it with others. It was me learning it to communicate it with myself. And then me, myself, and I could make a decision about what the next step needed to be from that.
Yeah. Okay. That's really helpful. So, sorry, long pauses aren't great in a podcast, are they?
That's all right. You can go.
They're not, but they're necessary within my conversation. What I was going to ask was, how has PDA and your kind of ability to identify emotions within yourself, how's that affected your relationships?
It's interesting because my partner always says like I'm the most effective communicator that she's ever met. She will always say, because I have to just talk about it like almost very matter of fact. I think what I learned was so much communication is unspoken.
Yes.
And even people who think they talk a lot, they don't always say what they mean. Very often don't say what they mean. And I recognize that sometimes it's not very cool, because it's not like, you know, it's not the way that you are meant to necessarily communicate in a romantic relationship. It's not but it's extremely effective, and it makes everybody feel safe.
Yes.
Because everybody knows what's going on. So although it can feel really odd to begin with to engage in it, because it's a bit like, okay, well, this is a bit stilted. This isn't how you communicate. It's not like, this isn't the way we communicate as human beings. But then people do it and they're like, oh, actually, you know what? Like, I know exactly where I stand now.
Yes.
And I find people over time really lean into it and then really like it. Because it's really safe. I would say, in terms of my communication, my relationships with my family rather, again improved. I think before I moved out of the family home, relationships were probably really quite tricky in the family home. I moved out just after COVID, so I think it probably goes without saying that,
Mm.
you know, but it was tricky before. I'm not gonna blame COVID, because that would be disingenuous. But I think it's allowed me to know myself better and be more intentional in what I
Yeah.
say and how I say it. And I think that's then left space. It's meant that sometimes where I would maybe have put emotions, I put words,
Yes.
and that could be just holding, like holding a holding phrase or a holding moment. But it's definitely enabled me to use words and be braver in what I say, because I think as a society, especially as Brits, we just don't say what we mean. We're too worried about someone else's feelings to not to say the thing, and then we have feelings about it. We don't then do anything about it. It then explodes, and we have this whole new situation, all these new feelings that aren't actually connected to the feeling. Like if we'd have spoken about our feelings honestly
Yes.
to begin with, we wouldn't be where we are. And I think definitely for me as a PDAer, like all of that gets tangled really quickly, and it gets very confusing and frustrating for me.
Yeah, it's really it's quite interesting. Like think about PDA Society as a workplace, and a workplace where, you know, massive chunk of our team are neurodivergent, a good number of our team are PDAers, and that thing about clearly communicating actually means that, like, we need to be maybe more explicit about some kind of rules and expectations than other workplaces, in order that then everybody feels safe to kind of freely play and freely explore within that. And so, you know, we
people will feel
have flexible working.
Yeah, people
But that flexible working is really bound. Like, that doesn't mean you have to work all the time. And in fact, we're going to try and check that you don't. And but that kind of explicitness is about safety. It's
Sure,
about not having loads of coded expectations.
sure. And I think it will feel quite unsafe to begin with because it's not the way that we are used to communicating, and it's very open. Like you are very vulnerable when you are communicating really openly and honestly, and
Yeah.
it takes time for you to be really comfortable with that.
Yeah. And there's loads of other stuff at play, isn't there? Because alongside all of this, there's, you know, there's power imbalances. There's loads of different things that mean that perhaps the way that you communicate when you're in your relationship is harder to replicate when you're in a job or when you're with your parents, unless there's that level of understanding. And how does that work for you in terms of people in your life who get PDA and the people who don't?
For me, I see all relationships as a relationship. Like, I try not to categorize my relationships. Obviously, like, there are different people that have different proximities, but I know for me as a PDA, as soon as it's like, this is this person and this is their role, like, I don't do very well with that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, you're a person in my life that I'm connected to, and this is how I feel about you, and this is what we do together. I think teaching people about me, as opposed to trying to conceptually teach them PDA, has been infinitely more successful. So saying things like, if I'm already doing something, like, wait X amount of time before reminding me, because if you remind me again, I won't do it.
Yeah.
Just being really, like, straight to the point. The same way that we would if it was like, please don't put your hands on me from behind because I don't like it.
Yeah.
I think for people that don't understand it as well, and especially are new to anybody who is open about how they identify in any way, shape, or form in their life, whether that's their neurodivergence, their sexuality, their gender, their race, there is a lot of resistance to that from certain groups within society. So, especially with those people, it's easier to tell them what they can do
Yeah.
and what things mean, rather than giving it a conceptual identity, because it's just too far outside of their understanding. And then once I find it's like, they'll sort of be like, so you know this and this and this and this. Why is that a thing? And then that's for me when I deliver that information
Yeah.
of the name of it. Because I think a lot of people really need to gauge more of an understanding of something before they can conceptualize it. And it is so unique.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, the only purpose in a name is to help people understand a person.
Quickly, and help them understand quickly. It's to shorten the thinking.
Yeah.
I think I'm not afraid of saying it. I'm just saying that, like, I would find it quite hard to say who in my life doesn't understand PDA, because to an extent, probably lots of them couldn't tell you lots about PDA. But if I said to them, tell this person about me, they could do that really well.
Yeah. And that's really useful and really transferable, actually, for anybody kind of starting to work out how they can get support for themselves or for somebody that they love, is that actually saying this human being needs this thing is just so much more powerful than saying this kind of group of individuals that then you need to buy into the kind of existence of these people as a group and feel you need to understand the definition. Instead, just going, this individual, this is what works. I think that's really helpful.
Yeah, this really helps them. If you could, do this.
Yeah. So, which leads me really beautifully onto, I have like 3 final questions for this bit. We are going to go on and talk in the kind of deeper dive bit about your career and about teaching. But if you had one thing, if you were meeting somebody who had just done what you've done and had just kind of worked out that this friction that they're experiencing, this kind of weight around demands might be PDA.
Yeah.
And they're starting out on their journey and they've come to you and they've said, H, is there one thing that you wish you knew right when you were me that would be helpful? What is it?
You need to work out what you're doing because you think you should be doing it, versus what you're doing because you actually need to do it. Like it actually aligns with you. Because I think if we spent more time getting rid of some of those shoulds, it alleviates a lot of those concerns. Like, what does it matter if, I think, has always been a question that I've encouraged people to ask in and around PDA. Like, what does it matter if you don't have any pictures on your walls of your house? Because it's one less thing for you to clean. What does it matter if you shower at 10 o'clock at night rather than 10 o'clock in the morning? Like, and if the answer that comes back is an important answer, then you respond to that. But I invite you to do it, because so many times the answer will be like, I don't know why we're doing this. I don't know why we're doing this like this.
Yeah, that's super helpful. And my second question was in a similar theme, which is you're meeting a parent or a carer of a kid who's struggling.
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
I think very cop-outly, probably the same advice. I think follow your gut. I think for so many PDA parents, I would say nine times out of 10, when the parent came to me, they were telling me already what they thought they should be doing, but weren't doing it because they were worried that that was the wrong thing to do based upon often someone else's judgment.
Yes.
They would come and be like, I think I should be doing this, but this book said, the health visitor said, the teacher said, the whatever said, I should be doing this. And I think, like I say, 9 times out of 10, that would happen. And the thing that they thought they should be doing, for example, I don't think I should be doing homework, or, bedtimes don't really work, and actually they go to bed earlier when I leave them to it, rather than me trying to force them into bed. But the consultant said that before they can have melatonin, they need to. You already know the answer.
Yeah.
It's just having the courage to be able to choose to live against the status quo. And I make that sound really simplistic, like it's just courage and you just have it. Like, you absolutely have to build that courage. But I would say, like, getting ready to break down a lot of those societal norms. More than one way to raise a child.
That's really great. Okay. So this next question is quite a broad one. It's probably a yes/no answer, but it might not be with you. Is it possible to be a happy PDAer?
Yeah, I think I'm happy. So I'd say yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely challenges to it. I think I will have a lot of privileges that maybe others don't have, and some people might have privileges that I don't have. And that could be anywhere down to, like, geographical, and there being access to something in my area that isn't available in another area. But I would say definitely it is absolutely possible to be happy as a PDA. I'd say my life was much happier once I understood it. And was able to work with it, not against it. And also chose to do things differently. I think it's hard to be happy as a PDA trying to be the same as everybody else. I don't think that's possible. But I mean, prove me wrong. But I don't know if you'd be truly happy in that existence in that way.
That's very cool. It's always very cool. So we're going to wrap up this conversation between me and H now, but we are going to have a deeper conversation about how PDA influenced H's teaching in our subscriber section, which there'll be notes in the podcast on how to get to. But for now, I just really wanted to thank you. It's always an absolute joy. And I hope you guys found that useful. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us on the PDA Society's podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you found it helpful, don't forget to subscribe and share. For more support, resources and information, visit the PDA Society's website at www.pdasociety.org.uk. See you next time.